Brooklyn Quartermain Chase finds what she is seeking for, and Alexis Davis discovers Elizabeth Baldwin knows. Ava Jerome discovers Rick Lansing is a snake, while Martin Gray receives unpleasant news of various kinds. Brooklyn finds what she is looking for. Marco Rios shares some files with Brooklyn in the Q Mansion. He uncovered Benjamin Westbourne's birth certificate, which was changed 7 months later to Rocco Falconeri. She smiles till Dante Falconeri walks in. Then Marco leaves, and Brooklyn asks Dante to shout at her again. He is still angry with her, but he tells her that Harrison Chase made him realize it is not beneficial. They must work together to contact Gio Palmieri. Dante has yet to forgive but wishes to have a connection with Gio. He regrets being so harsh on their son. They consider what to do next and attempt to be patient. General Hospital recap June 25th. Brooklyn gets what she wants, and Ava makes a shocking discovery. Alexis learns Elizabeth knows about Christina cutting Rick's brake lines. Christina Corinthos Davis visits Alexis in her office and tells her mother that Lucky Spencer has confessed everything to Elizabeth. She informs her mother about the serious discussion and indicates that Liz would not report her. Alexis tells her to abandon her plan to separate Ava and Rick right once. Instead, she wants to notify Liz that Rick is blackmailing them. Christina fears she could wind up in prison if this happens. Alexis then goes to GH to speak with Liz about Christina. She appreciates Liz preserving the secret because else Christina would face prison time, which she deserves. Liz empathizes with Christina's feelings and believes Ava pushed her to her limit, and she understands Alexis' daughter's remorse. General Hospital recap June 25th. Brooklyn gets what she wants, and Ava makes a shocking discovery. Ava discovers Rick is a snake. At the Jerome Gallery, Ava brings Laura Collins to Joel Sartor's latest exhibit, which is taking place again. She wishes to attend, but her schedule is full. She contemplates giving the tickets to Elizabeth, but she also wants to purchase baby animal art for Ace Prince Cassidy's nursery. Ava is fine with this. Laura notices she is sipping dragonberry juice and notes that Liz and Rick were drinking it when she visited Liz's house. Ava is surprised. After Laura leaves, Ava calls someone undercover to find out how Rick returned from Beecher's Corner so swiftly. She understands he has been dishonest with her and calls him a lying liar. Lucas examines Martin, and Martin asks Rick about a lawsuit. When Rick arrives at the GH hub, Liz assigns some jobs to Deanna Surtees for the patients before he leaves to meet with a customer. Meanwhile, Lucas Jones examines Martin Gray's back in a room. Martin is in excruciating pain and blames Tracy Quartermain. Lucas returns to the center and speaks with Liz about how frequently Rick has visited her since Lucky left. Back in Martin's room, Rick listens to him rant on about wanting to sue Tracy. Rick watches the film and tells him it's impossible. Furthermore, a retainer of $15,000 would be required. Martin cannot afford it, so Rick urges him to forget it before leaving. Liz and Lucas talk about Rick. Lucas receives a call from Marco. Back at the hub, Liz tells Lucas that she does not want Rick to believe there is a future. He recalls his time with Brad Cooper and understands. He had to figure out when to stop. She grins, hoping she isn't deceiving Rick. Lucas departs and Rick appears, asking Liz out for tonight. Later, Lucas receives a call from Marco Rios inviting him to drink and discuss Natalia Ramirez's case, after which Marco asks if Lucas knows Britt Westbourne. Lucas confirms and questions his boyfriend, who reveals that her name appears in a case. Marco claims he is simply interested and then hangs up. Cody won't take Tracy's payment. Tracy laughs as she watches a video of Marty crashing repeatedly when Cody Bell enters. She expresses her gratitude for today and considers him perfect. She intends to produce a gif of Drew Kane's emotion when he realizes she won, which she will have Leo Falconeri do later. She offers him some money but he declines. Tracy finds this odd, but Cody finds it amusing. He claims it is the best job he has ever had. "I find you more than tolerable," she tells him. He laughs that she will make him cry and refuses to accept money from a buddy. General Hospital recap June 25th. Brooklyn gets what she wants, and Ava makes a shocking discovery. Sunny asks Natalia about her decision. One of Sunny's guards leads Natalia to Sunny Corinthos' house, where she appears nervous. He is asking her to abandon her entire existence. He tells her that it will be a nice living or prison, and she provides him the key to a safe deposit box. Her life is now under his control. He cautions her not to tell anyone about her leaving, or acting Justine Turner will arrest her, and that's the end of it. Tears flood down her cheeks as she realizes she can't interact with her friends or relatives. She will be living in a lovely property on the beach, but they will remain in contact. He recognizes and takes seriously his debt to her. Sunny and Natalia continue their conversation. They grasp hands as she grows upset, and he assures her that she has always been there for his daughter and will not be forgotten. He refuses to leave her side. She acknowledges the importance of their relationship and apologizes for risking it by concealing the information that Jen Sidwell is her former spouse. When he arrived in town, she felt paralyzed and labeled Jens as a threat, but she argues that Marco is not like Jens. Following their talk, she pays Marco a visit at his employment. Cody talks with Christina about the Ava seduction job. Cody meets Christina at Alexis' office, where he is instructed to bring up Lucky's departure from Port Charles during his conversation with Ava. This revelation will exacerbate her vulnerabilities, making her more susceptible to his flirtations. He said that there are no rapid results and that it must be approached gently, otherwise she may get suspicious. He also stated that if Rick develops affections for Liz, hasn't he already fulfilled his position and completed the task? She assumes Ava will stop things with Rick, but when Cody asks more money, she declines. Laura visits Martin in his hospital room, and he receives more bad news. Laura Collins arrives at Martin's hospital room after Elizabeth called and informed her that he is a patient. She finds him in his hospital bed and learns that he is optimistic about avoiding surgery. He emphasizes his desire to not be a burden to her, to move out and have his own home, but he cannot take on a case if he is unable to stand. She encourages him to relax and promises to bring him an overnight bag. As she goes, Martin reassures himself that Tracy will bear the consequences. Deanna then arrives and informs Martin that his insurance policy has expired, and he is no longer insured. Gio trains Danny and Rocco at the Metro Court pool. Gio is instructing Rocco and Danny Morgan, who are working there. Danny is filling everyone's water bottles and hands some to Lulu Spencer, who waves to Rocco, who is taken aback. Rocco laments that his mother photographed him, as if it were the first day of school. Tracy runs into Lulu at the pool. Lulu wants her to give Rocco a big tip today, and Tracy chuckles at how adorable it is that she's spying. Gio notices Rocco folding dirty towels and instructs them to dispose of them. Lulu and Tracy watch the boys with interest. The women continue to watch, relieved that Gio and Rocco have gotten along since discovering they are half-brothers. Tracy informs Lulu that Gio is still furious with Brooklyn and wants to get over it soon. Later, after their shift finishes, Gio advises them not to swim in their uniforms. They begin joking about throwing each other in and Tracy whistles. She steps in and offers to escort them home to the Quartermain estate. Rocco and Danny arrive to the Q manse and pass Brooklyn, who hides the birth certificate Marco had delivered earlier. Cody visits the Jerome Art Gallery. Laura meets up with Sunny. Cody walks inside the gallery, and Ava comments that they're making room for Joel Sartor's exhibit, when he detects a lack of work. He approaches the abstract piece, and as he reaches out to touch it, she answers a phone from the man who usually helps her hang paintings. He won't be coming, but Cody steps in to offer his assistance. He relates memories from his background before bringing up Lucky's departure from the country. Laura is relieved at Sunny's when she learns that Sunny is not selling his peers to Jens. They both understand how the man operates. Sunny claims that, while he would not start anything, violence is on the horizon for Port Charles, and they must design a strategy to avert it. Brooklyn Quartermain had spent her entire life juggling ambition with the complicated legacy of her family name. Her outgoing personality, strong temper, and profound attachment to those she loved frequently worked both for and against her. She had made many mistakes along the way, burned bridges, manipulated people, and lied when it suited her. But one thing she had always had was clarity about what she wanted. Brooklyn was finally receiving what she had been wanting for a long time. But in Port Charles, victories are never easy, and the higher you rise, the more dangerous the fall. Brooklyn had worked tirelessly over the last few months to save Chase's career, to defend her grandmother's legacy at Deception, and to prove she was more than just a privileged Quartermain with a chip on her shoulder. The board at Deception had doubted her, expecting her to collapse or flake under pressure, but she stayed firm. Maxie had observed. Lucy had too, though she'd never say it out loud. When Brooke Lynn successfully closed a new marketing agreement with a major skincare line, the tides turned. She was no longer a liability. She was a key player. Even more satisfying was her rekindled friendship with Chase. What began as a difficult friendship fueled by tension and false pretenses has grown into something grounded, mature, and profoundly true. They'd battled their way back to each other, not because it was easy, but because they'd stopped running away from how much they meant to each other. There were no more deceptive baby plots or half-truths between them. For once, they both told the truth, and the emotional payout was clear. Chase proposed to her spontaneously, without a ring or fanfare, but with every ounce of honesty in his heart, and Brooke Lynn answered yes without hesitation. That moment seemed like everything she'd been chasing had finally caught up with her in the best possible manner. Even her family, which was notoriously critical and often embroiled in a power struggle, had begun to show genuine support. Tracy continued to sprinkle every remark with subtle digs, but they became less frequent and were replaced by genuine admiration. Ned, who was still dealing with the remnants of his Eddie Main identity, seemed proud of her in a way that made her heart ache. She'd spent so long trying to prove she wasn't a disappointment, and now she didn't have to strive as hard. She was just herself, and that was sufficient. But just as Brooke Lynn was settling into her newfound stability, Ava Jerome made a revelation that threatened to disrupt more than one life in Port Charles. Ava wasn't searching for trouble, but trouble found her. Her working relationship with Sonny had been tense, especially after recent breaches in his close circle. Jason's homecoming, Carly's developing estrangement, and Nina's ever-expanding lies had left Sonny disoriented and exposed. Ava had used her proximity to him as both a shield and a sword, deterring certain dangers while silently moving behind the scenes. She didn't totally trust Sonny, which led her to investigate some of his financial practices. Ava told herself it was a precaution to protect herself and Avery from whatever disaster Sonny would produce, but her senses told her something wasn't right. What she discovered wasn't only about Sonny. While studying a sequence of property transfers associated with a fictitious firm supposedly linked to one of Sonny's offshore accounts, Ava came across a familiar signature in the papers. Not Sonny's. Not Jason's. That was Brooke Lynn's. At first, she assumed it was a coincidence or a fabrication. Why would Brooke Lynn Quartermain be involved in a corporation that funnels money through offshore accounts linked to Sonny's former holdings? But the deeper Ava delved, the stranger things grew. Keller Holdings had secretly acquired a modest music publishing firm 6 months prior. On paper, it was meaningless. However, Ava's Artworld contacts had heard rumors that Quartermain money was being utilized to influence some music-related contracts, specifically to musicians associated with Eddie Main. The pieces began to connect, and a story developed that Ava couldn't ignore. Brooke Lynn had been using her commercial expertise and Quartermain influence to assist Ned, in his Eddie persona, in rebuilding a modest musical empire. However, not everything had been done legally. Some of the money used to support such acquisitions came from accounts that were blocked years ago, amid a federal probe into Sonny's alleged trafficking connections. It was still unclear how Brooke Lynn acquired access to those accounts, but one thing was certain. If Ava could locate it, so could someone else. The ramifications were enormous. It wasn't just about Brooke Lynn's shady business dealings. If this became public, it might expose the Quartermains, jeopardize Deception's newly established stability, and worse, represent Brooke Lynn as having associated herself with Sonny Corinthos' darker history. Ava did not go directly to the authorities. She seldom did. She played her cards tight, acquiring more evidence and attempting to piece together the entire story. She even confronted Brooke Lynn while considering a Deception crossover agreement with the gallery. But the instant she casually mentioned the word Keller Holdings, Brooke Lynn's face revealed her. "What have you just said?" Brooke Lynn inquired, attempting to appear unconcerned, but her body tightened. Ava gave a strained smile. "Keller Holdings. Lovely name. It sounds extremely curated. But again, you've always had a talent for the dramatic." Brooke Lynn's eyes narrowed. "If you have something to say, just say it." Ava reclined back in her chair. "Only that I am impressed. It takes considerable courage to play both sides of the chessboard without being caught." The quiet between them was oppressive and crushing. Brooke Lynn realized she had been cornered. She did not affirm anything. She did not have to. Ava's smirk turned into something colder. I'm not the one you should worry about, Ava told you. Others will come searching shortly. You should decide soon which side you're on. Brooklyn exited the gallery feeling unsettled. She had not imagined Ava becoming involved, or getting so close to the truth. She had done what she thought was right, assisting her father in reclaiming something important from a history he no longer completely remembered, and utilizing dormant monies linked to shell firms that she assumed no one was following. Everything appeared to be a simple accounting trick. It now looked like criminal negligence. She did not tell Chase yet. He was a cop first and foremost, and while she trusted him wholeheartedly, she was unsure where his duty would take him if he found out. So she went to the only person who might understand, Tracy. Tracy's reaction was a combination of pride and wrath. You took the initiative, she said. But you did not think long-term. Never handle frozen assets. Especially not ones with Corinthos fingerprints all over them. That's the type of error that gets you indicted. Brooklyn anticipated condemnation. Instead, she received a plan. Tracy, ever the thinker, devised a plan of action. Clean up the records, separate deception from the publishing company, and launch a quiet divestment effort that would safeguard Brooklyn's reputation while isolating the rest of the family. However, the issue was not only legal. It was personal. Ava hadn't revealed her yet, but Brooklyn knew it was only a matter of time until someone else discovered what she had. Her enemies were too numerous, and her allies were too distracted. Chase hated lying to him, especially with the wedding coming up. Then came the next surprise. Ava did not go to the police. She went to Sunny. Their chat was quick yet tense. I came across something I thought you should know, she continued. Sunny's eyes tightened as she explained the relationship between Brooklyn's activities and his inactive accounts. Are you sure? Sunny inquired. Positive. He leaned back and ran a hand down his face. She is Quartermain, and she's engaged to a cop. She is also playing a deadly game, one that could backfire on both of us. Sunny did not reply right away. He respected Brooklyn. He liked her spirit and valued her dedication. But if she was playing with fire, she had to know when to stop. And if she was spending money under his name, she had crossed a line he couldn't ignore. The confrontation occurred days later. Sunny met Brooklyn in the park under the guise of a family conversation. But the second he mentioned Keller Holdings, Brooklyn's heart sunk. I didn't know, she said. Not at first. I thought it was dormant. Do you believe that matters? Sunny said, his voice low. You touched something you should not have. And now it is out there. She did not beg, nor did she cry. I did it for my father. Sunny shakes his head. Then you better make sure he was worth it. He did not make any overt threats against her. However, his message was clear. Clean it up or he would. Brooklyn returned to the Quartermain estate, shocked and angry. Not just at Sunny, not even at Ava. At herself. She had worked so hard to create a future, and now she was risking everything with one bad act. But she was not going to fall apart. Not now. She called Chase and explained everything. Every detail. She expected rage, betrayal, and possibly even an arrest. Instead, she got quiet, followed by a heavy, tired sigh. You should have told me, Chase remarked gently. I know. We're supposed to be a team. I was scared. He did not talk for a long time. Then, finally, we'll fix it. Together. That night, Brooklyn laid awake staring at the ceiling. Her heart was bruised, and her reputation was jeopardized, but she still had him. Chase believed in her. And despite her secrets and manipulations, Ava had given her a chance to rectify things before they imploded. Brooklyn had envisioned a clean triumph. But it was real. That was the best that Port Charles has to offer. General Hospital spoilers are available for Thursday, June 26, 2025. Fans should expect Marco Rios to demand answers from Natalia Ramirez. Ezra Boyle receives directions from Jen Sidwell. Carly Spencer also becomes concerned about Sunny Corinthos' shocking revelation. Continue reading and let's discuss what's coming up on the ABC soap show. Sunny Corinthos' warning. Let's start with Sunny, who needs to drop a bomb on Carly. Even though they are no longer married, they still have a family and a friendship. The mob boss refused Sidwell's offer, implying that blood will be shed shortly. In the meantime, Sunny updates Carly. That's when the blonde flips out, claiming that their family is in serious danger. Good thing Carly is dating Jack Brennan. I'm wondering if, in an unusual twist, Sunny and Brennan may have to collaborate to face a larger menace. Dante Falconeri's judgment. After his confrontation with Dante Falconeri, he has another one with Jason Morgan. The unraveling detective believes Jason let his child run wild because he couldn't be bothered being a dad. Well, Dante, your kid almost died from drinking too much, so I'm not casting stones. Moving forward, Jason resolves the situation by providing Dante with a new perspective. Read this. General Hospital spoilers. Kathleen Gotti drops big hint about Kelly Thibault's return. Marco Rio's demand. According to General Hospital teasers for tomorrow, Sunny told Natalia that she couldn't tell anyone about their bargain, or it would fall through. Natalia's next move is to visit Marco rather than pack. In a preview for the next episode, Marco demands to know how Natalia planned her new life. Thursday, June 26, 2025. Fans will also watch Lulu Spencer offer counsel to Lucas Jones. The blonde asks Lucas, "Wouldn't it be nice to know how tight they are?" Meanwhile, Brooklyn Quartermain dislikes what she sees. Elsewhere, Sasha Gilmore Corbin has an update on Felicia Scorpio. Additionally, Ezra meets with Sidwell. A sample film shows the villain instructing Ezra, "You smile and say thank you." This does not sound like nice advice, but rather a scary instruction. So, I'm wondering if Ezra can turn things around and gain redemption in some way. Which narrative are you looking forward to the most? Share your opinions in the comments area below. Remember to keep watching ABC's soap opera to see what happens next. Carly Corinthos understood dread. She had felt it in her bones throughout every war she had waged in Port Charles, the losses, the betrayals, and the moments when her family was on the verge of disaster. But nothing had chilled her more than the call she received shortly after daybreak, when the world outside her kitchen window was still a pale gray. The voice on the other end was cold, deliberate, and unwavering. "Mrs. Spencer," the man replied, but the name didn't fit anymore. "You need to come down to the docks. Bring no one. Don't call anyone. Not even Jason." Her stomach sank. She should have hung up and called Jason right away. But the way he said, "Not even Jason," chilled her blood. "Who is this?" she shouted, but the connection was already dead. Carly was not new to threats. She'd gotten them previously, usually related to Sunny, Jason, or even Michael. But this was different, personal, targeted, and rooted in a deeper game she didn't quite comprehend. Despite the mounting panic in her chest, she complied. Something told her that whoever contacted her wasn't lying. At the docks, she discovered a man waiting. He was tall, built like a military, with a cool and distant demeanor, yet his eyes revealed a calculated hatred. He introduced himself as Julian Sidwell, a name Carly didn't know but would soon learn to despise. He had a small black folder in his hand, and when he handed it to her, she felt her breath catch before she could open it. Inside were grainy but clear photographs of Michael, Jocelyn, and Donna. Some were taken outside their homes, some while they were shopping, and one was of Jocelyn at school. Surveillance. Meticulous. Dangerous. A clear message. "We can contact them." "What do you want?" Carly inquired, her voice a whisper. Sidwell did not waste time. "You own something that belongs to me. You may not realize it yet, but you will. I recommend that you consider carefully about your next move." Then he was gone. There were no more threats or demands, just a sense of dread hanging in the air as Carly remained immobile on the pier. She clutched the folder like a weapon and drove home on autopilot, her thoughts racing over everyone she'd ever met. Was it about Sunny? Jason? Drew? Ava? Had something from years past finally caught up with her? When she got home, she did not call the police. She did not even call Sunny. She called Jason. He arrived within 15 minutes. The moment he saw the look in her eyes, he realized it wasn't another panic. She handed him the folder without speaking, and he swiftly perused the photographs, his jaw tightening. "Sidwell?" Jason inquired, having already entered the name into his burner phone to begin a trace. "That's what he said," Carly answered. "He claimed I had something that belonged to him. But Jason, I have no idea who he is." Jason sat down, thinking quickly. "This is not about you. It's about something you're attached to. Something you accidentally touched. The two of them considered every potential eventuality. Carly's investments, her work with the Metro Court, her role in Drew's insider trading case, and even her brief time managing Sonny's affairs while he was assumed dead. Jason kept coming back to the thought that Sidwell knew not to mention him because he would be her first call. That level of foreknowledge did not come from random adversaries. It came from a strategist, a person with a history. Meanwhile, Marco Santos, a valued associate of Sonny's who is now working silently under Jason's protection, has been following Sidwell's trail through known criminal circles. What he discovered did not make sense. Sidwell had no criminal history, no official registration, and no tax ID. The moniker was exclusively used in whispered chats during high-level poker games and back-alley dealings in major cities like Chicago, Berlin, and Bangkok. Marco immediately flagged that. "There's no such person as Julian Sidwell," Marco told Jason at the safe home 2 days later. "Not official. However, the name has become almost mythical. Large sums of money. Secrecy at the level of an arms dealer. If he's here in Port Charles, it's not by chance." That was when Jason realized they had a greater problem. Sidwell was not a threat because of his vendetta. He was present for a reason. That reason involved Carly. Jason accomplished something he hadn't done in years. He reached out to someone at the WSB, an old associate who owed him a favor. The request was straightforward. Run the name Julian Sidwell against every covert operation functioning in North America. The response arrived the next day, and it raised more questions than answers. The WSB had identified the name as being linked to a list of high-value targets that lacked classified data. What's the twist? That secret data was taken 6 months ago from a military contractor's encrypted server. On the same day Drew Kane accessed a company database during a Metro Court investment agreement, in which Carly was a co-signer. The parts started to connect. Drew had not just gotten into insider trading. He had unlocked a digital vault that had been hidden beneath layers of corporate facade. And now Carly, by co-signing or even looking at the financials, had unintentionally opened a door that Julian Sidwell wished sealed shut. Carly was stunned. "I didn't do anything." Jason was steadfast. "But you were there. You were part of it. That is sufficient for someone like Sidwell." Still, Jason didn't think that was the whole story. There was something wrong about the entire scenario. Why not go after Drew directly? Why Carly? That's when Marco became suspicious. He'd been monitoring Sidwell's movements and phone pings, and something didn't add up. The individual has gone in and out of locations surrounding the Quartermain estate, and his location was once pinged near Wiley's school, albeit briefly. Marco said nothing at first. He realized Jason's primary goal was to protect Carly and eliminate the threat. But Marco had a feeling, and it led him to a storage locker rented under a fictitious name just outside Port Charles. When he broke in, he discovered a cache of hard disks, encrypted files, and further surveillance footage, some of it from years before. Yes, Drew appeared in the footage, but also Jason, and Carly, and something else. One video from 10 years ago showed Carly handing up a wrapped letter to a lady with a scar down her jawline, who Marco later recognized as an ex-WSB operative gone rogue. The ramifications were immense. Carly has no recall of it, but Jason did. That envelope included documents from a safety deposit box that Sonny had ordered her to retrieve during his absence. They had no idea it was anything critical at the time, especially not in terms of national security. But Sidwell did. He had somehow traced everything back to that very time. And now he was in Port Charles to retrace whatever trail remained. Carly was beside herself. "This can't be happening. I wasn't involved in any operation. I was just a messenger." Jason, always composed, gave her the only thing he could, clarity. "You weren't a target then," he explained. "You are a liability now. Sidwell believes you can guide him to what he's seeking for. Or worst, you've already discovered it." Jason made a decision that night. He took Carly out of her home and transported her to a safe area. He activated old contacts. He shuttered the Metro Court briefly for remodeling. And he called Michael. Michael, who was already on edge from his own encounters with legal threats, was enraged. "How deep are we in this time?" he asked Jason.